What you are about to hear in this video goes against everything you knew about your spiritual gift as a chosen one, and it might even make you angry. You see, when I began to dig deep into what the Bible really says about spiritual gifts, not what's taught in church or tossed around in shallow spiritual talk forums, but what is hidden beneath the surface, buried in plain sight, I was shocked at the truth I discovered. And listen, this might make you question everything you thought you knew about your divine purpose, your inner power, and even the reason why you've been feeling so disconnected lately. But if you stay with me until the very end of this message, I promise you, I'll show you the exact truth they've hidden from you, the real reason why your spiritual gift has felt more like a burden than a blessing. Before I go deeper, take a moment to subscribe if you haven't already. Tap that like button so this message reaches more chosen ones like you. For what I'm about to share with you has the power to gently shift your life's direction and inspire hope and healing in the lives of many. And share it with someone who needs a reminder that God can make a change. God bless you more. Because the real reason you have never fully activated your divine gift is not what you think. And I don't even blame you. The world has spent years, no, generations, convincing you that your spiritual gift was either too much, too weird, or just something that needed to be hidden or tamed. Once you hear this truth, you will be free, and I mean completely free. I want you to comment right now, I am free from the chains. You see, you're not broken. You're not cursed. You're not lost. You're simply waking up, and what you're about to discover will change how you see everything. Let me tell you this first. One of the most important things to know as one of the chosen is that your spiritual gift isn't what they told you it was. And I'm not talking about some surface-level empath label or personality quiz results. I'm talking about the gift that has been beating inside you since birth, the thing that makes you feel different, distant, and often misunderstood. You see, most of us were taught to believe that our spiritual gift was here to help others, to serve, to give, to sacrifice. And while that sounds noble, it's only half the truth. Because if that were the full picture, then why, tell me why, are you the one that's constantly exhausted, constantly under attack, constantly questioning your worth, while the people you're helping seem to keep taking and taking and taking? You see, the real reason they told you that your gift was for others only is because they needed your power, but didn't want you to realize it. Let that sink in. They taught you to pour, but never to receive. They taught you to heal, but never how to protect your own energy. They taught you to pray for others, but never how to reclaim your identity in the Spirit. And that is not an accident. The Bible tells us clearly in Matthew 7 verse 6, "Do not give what is holy to the dogs, nor cast your pearls before swine, lest they trample them under their feet, and turn and tear you in pieces." But guess what? Nobody told you that your spiritual gift is that pearl. And every time you give it to someone who doesn't recognize your value, you're throwing away pieces of your divine inheritance. And here's the wild part. Most people interpret this verse to mean being cautious with information or truth. But it goes deeper. It's not just about guarding knowledge. It's about guarding your very essence. Because you are the pearl. Your gift is the holy thing. And the moment you gave it away to people who saw you as a tool and not as a temple, they turned and tore you to pieces. You feel that truth, don't you? Now let me ask you this. Why do you think they never told you that? Why do you think the world celebrates surface-level spirituality but never talks about powerful chosen ones who were sent here to shift entire atmospheres? Because the world is comfortable with spirituality as long as it's powerless. They're okay with prayer as long as it's performative. They love prophets as long as they're mute. But the moment you start activating the gift that's been screaming inside of you, that's when they panic. That's when the warfare starts. That's when the rejection hits. That's when you're misunderstood, isolated, and called too deep. But let me tell you something. They didn't reject you, they rejected the spirit of truth you carry. And I need you to hear me right now. You are not crazy. You are not broken. You are not weak. You've simply been lied to. Lied to about who you are. Lied to about what you carry. Lied to about why the enemy keeps targeting you. Because if you ever truly tapped into the real version of your spiritual gift, not the diluted, commercial, watered-down version, but the heavenly assigned, warfare-backed, mantle-sealed version of your gift. You would be unstoppable. That's what they fear. Not your gift, but you realizing what your gift really is. Because once you know that, once you see the matrix for what it is, once you understand why the attacks have been so precise, so cruel, so timed, you can no longer be controlled. And that's why I'm here. To break it down piece by piece. Because if you're still here watching this, it means something inside you already knows. You're just waiting for someone to say it. Well, I'm saying it now. Chosen one, you've been lied to. But not anymore. Now let me show you what they didn't want you to know about your gift. Because I promise you, this is only the beginning. Alright, since you're still here, that tells me something powerful. You're ready. Not just curious, not just scrolling for another spiritual pick-me-up. You're hungry for truth. And only the chosen ones ever reach this point. So let's go deeper. Because now we're stepping into the part that most people never discover about their spiritual gift. The blueprint. You see, they told you your gift was something you use. But they never told you it was something you were born to embody. They said, you have a gift. But never said, you are the gift. Because once you understand that distinction, your life shifts, your posture shifts, your boundaries shift, your spiritual authority erupts. Let me tell you something that you probably already feel, but have never had the words to describe. Your spiritual gift was coded into your being before you even took your first breath. The Bible says in Jeremiah 1 verse 5, "Before I formed you in the womb I knew you, before you were born I set you apart, I appointed you as a prophet to the nations." Did you catch that? Before the womb. Before your trauma. Before religion ever tried to define you. You were already set apart. Now here's where it gets even deeper. When you were born, you didn't just arrive with a calling. You came through with a spiritual code. An activation, a vibration, a divine frequency that few people on this planet can even recognize, let alone comprehend. And the reason your life has felt like a battleground, it's because you're carrying something so uncommon, so dangerous to darkness, that hell had to launch an assault from day one. That's why the rejection started early. That's why the betrayal felt personal. That's why you always felt like the other. Because darkness always detects the ones carrying the light before the person ever realizes it. Your gift was never just to make you feel spiritual. It's not about being sensitive, psychic, or even prophetic. No. Your gift is a kingdom weapon. And the longer you stay unaware of its true purpose, the longer you remain ineffective in the battle that's already been raging around you. You feel that battle, don't you? Not just in the world, but in your mind, in your spirit, in your sleep, in your waking thoughts. And here's the shocking part. They trained you to mistrust your own knowing. You were told, you're just overthinking. You're too emotional. That's not God, that's your imagination. But deep inside, you always knew something wasn't right. And you were right. The lie wasn't just in the words. It was in the systems. In the safe environments. Even in some pulpits. Because here's what most people don't know. Your spiritual gift is not meant to be domesticated. It was never designed to fit in. It was forged in the fire to disrupt, to expose, and to awaken. Let me repeat that. You are an awakener. And that's dangerous. Not to the kingdom of God, but to every system, person, spirit, and agenda that wants people to stay asleep, passive, and powerless. So of course they lied. Of course they told you to tone it down. Of course they made you question your own discernment. Because when you walk fully in your gift, you become unshakable. You become unbothered. You become divinely untouchable. But here's the hard part. The only way to fully activate this gift is to let go of the version of yourself that was built on survival. I know that's not easy. But chosen ones were never meant for comfort. You were meant for consecration. Because your gift doesn't work in lukewarmness. It doesn't respond to fake friendships, trauma bonds, or religious performance. It only thrives in truth, in surrender, in alignment. And I need you to hear this with your spirit. There is a version of you that hell has never seen, because you've been busy dimming your light to survive in places you were never meant to stay. But if you stop playing small, if you stop giving your gift away to people who do not honor it, if you stop agreeing with the lie that your gift is a burden, you will step into the divine force that you truly are. You were never just meant to heal others. You were never just meant to be kind or stay humble. You were meant to shift nations, break generational chains, and tear down strongholds. But you can't do that when you're still trying to earn acceptance from people who are spiritually blind. Stop explaining your light to those who can only see shadows. You are not crazy. You are not dramatic. You are chosen. Chosen for war. Chosen for awakening. Chosen for such a time as this. Now in the next part of this message, I'm going to tell you the 3-level spiritual cycle that every chosen one must go through before their gift fully comes online. This is the part they never tell you, because most people give up halfway through. But once you understand this, everything in your life, your pain, your patterns, your purpose, will start to make divine sense. You're still here. That already tells me everything. Because most people, they check out before the veil lifts. But you're still breathing this in. Still leaning in. Still hungry for what this world could never feed you. So let's go there. Let's uncover the part of your journey that no one warned you about. Because the moment you were marked as a chosen one, your life was no longer yours. You were enrolled into a divine cycle. A process far beyond what the average person could understand. This cycle, it's not just a test of faith. It's a test of identity. And it always unfolds in 3 levels. 3 dimensions. 3 initiations. Each one designed to activate, break, and then rebuild your divine essence. Let me walk you through it. Level 1, the isolation. This is where the shift begins. Where the whispers get louder, but the crowd gets smaller. Where the divine starts to separate you. From people, from patterns, from everything familiar. And you don't understand why. You just feel the pull. You're not vibing with the same energy anymore. The conversations you used to enjoy feel hollow. You try to explain, but no one gets it. You feel like you're speaking another language. That's not by accident. That's by design. Because isolation is God's classroom. You see, the first lie they told you is that loneliness was punishment. But in the kingdom, loneliness is preparation. Even Jesus had to go into the wilderness before he walked into destiny. Even Joseph was thrown into the pit before he was seated in the palace. Because the chosen must first be emptied before they can be trusted to pour into others. And in that emptiness, you begin to hear what noise once drowned out. The still, small voice. The inner fire. The truth. So if you're in this level right now, if you feel like everyone you once loved is drifting away, if it feels like God is hiding from you, you're not being punished. You're being prepared. Prepared to unlearn the lie that love equals attachment. Prepared to finally know yourself apart from the masks you were forced to wear. Because the true spiritual gift of the chosen one, it can only be discovered in the silence. Not in applause. Not in validation. But in stillness. And when you pass this level, you don't just exit the wilderness. You emerge as someone reborn. Level 2, the fire. You survived the silence. Now comes the fire. This is the part where everything you thought you knew is burned to the ground. Everything that made sense. Gone. Every plan. Shattered. Every comfort. Disrupted. Because the fire isn't here to destroy you. It's here to burn off what cannot go with you. And I'm talking deep things. Old identities. False beliefs. Trauma responses. Attachments to outcomes. This is when the divine starts cutting cords with people you thought were permanent. Jobs you thought were your calling. Dreams you thought were God-ordained. And it hurts. Oh, it hurts. Because your flesh doesn't want to let go. But your spirit knows, it's time. You see, chosen ones are not refined in comfort. They're forged in fire. It's how you're strengthened. It's how you're awakened. Isaiah 48 verse 10 says, "Behold, I have refined you, but not as silver. I have tested you in the furnace of affliction." Affliction is the furnace. Pain is the purifier. Because only what is authentic survives the flame. Now listen to me carefully. If you are in this fire season, where it feels like nothing is working, where prayers feel unanswered, where spiritual attacks come from every angle, it's not because you're doing something wrong. It's because you're about to be released. Released from the shackles of old programming. Released from the people-pleasing. Released from the version of you they tried to mold. And when you rise from this level, you don't walk. You roar. But before that roar, before the oil flows, there is one more level. And it's the most sacred one. Level 3, the revealing. Now this part. This is where your spiritual gift shifts dimensions. Because the revealing is not just about others finally seeing who you are. It's about you finally seeing it. This is when the clarity becomes surgical. When your voice starts to carry authority. When your presence begins to make demons tremble and spirits align. This is when you no longer walk into a room wondering if you belong. You walk in knowing the room was waiting on you. But here's the key. The revealing doesn't come with celebration. It comes with responsibility. God doesn't reveal chosen ones so they can become popular. He reveals them so they can become impactful. This is where your gift stops being about you and starts flowing through you. This is when the messages you speak pierce souls. When the visions you receive shift atmospheres. When your prayers begin to break chains in the spirit realm. And you realize, all the isolation, all the fire, all the nights you cried alone asking why me? It was for this power, this clarity, this authority that no man gave you, and no man can take away. But let me tell you something even deeper. The enemy is terrified of you reaching this level. Because once you're revealed, you're unstoppable. You don't chase anymore. You don't explain anymore. You just exist in truth. And your existence alone becomes warfare. So if you're feeling the pressure right now, if life is testing every part of your being, you're not breaking. You're being revealed. Now, in the next part, I'm going to show you the true assignment of your spiritual gift, what it was always meant to do beyond the labels, beyond religion, beyond the titles. This is the part they never want you to know, because once you step into this, you no longer need permission to walk in your calling. Are you ready? Because what I'm about to tell you now, this is the part they never wanted you to discover. Not the churches, not the systems, not the spiritual influences chasing platforms instead of purpose. Because this right here, this is the real reason you were chosen in the first place. Not for status, not for applause, not even for your own healing, but for transformation. See, the real truth about your spiritual gift is that it was never designed to fit inside a box. It was never meant to be tamed, labeled, or commercialized. You were given a frequency, a code, a divine signature that only you could carry. And when fully activated, that signature unlocks dimensions in others. Not just motivation, not just a good word. I'm talking about atmosphere-shifting power. Your presence alone begins to realign people with their own truth. And they don't even know why they feel lighter, stronger, more clear. But you know. Your spirit knows. Let me tell you something dangerous. Chosen ones are walking activation keys. You weren't just sent here to preach truth. You were sent to become it. And when truth walks into a room wearing skin, darkness panics. Because here's what they never told you. Your gift isn't just a spiritual talent. It's a divine technology. Yes, technology. Because your spiritual essence is encoded with frequencies that disrupt strongholds. You carry vision. It's because you were sent to break blindness. You carry healing. It's because you were born to end cycles of suffering. You carry wisdom. It's because your voice dismantles deception. You think it's just insight or intuition or good advice. Nah. You're literally altering timelines with your presence. And this, my beloved chosen one, is exactly why life has tried so hard to shut you down. This is why they tried to call you too sensitive. Why you were mocked for feeling too much. Why every time you stood in your truth, you were met with silence or attack. Because darkness recognizes what's holy even when you don't. They saw your glow before you ever looked in the mirror. And they moved quickly to distort it. Told you your voice was too much. That your presence made others uncomfortable. That you were intense, too deep, too weird. No, it's the opposite. You weren't too anything. You were just surrounded by people who weren't ready to be activated. You were the signal. But they were still asleep. Now hear me out. You always knew you were different. Even as a kid. You'd walk into rooms and sense things no one else noticed. You'd have dreams, visions, insights you couldn't explain. You saw through people like glass, even when they smiled in your face. And instead of being celebrated for your gift, you were gaslit, dismissed, sometimes even punished. But that was the enemy's strategy. Because if he could convince you that your gift was a burden, you would hide it, mute it, water it down just to belong. And let me say this to you directly. The biggest spiritual warfare you've ever faced hasn't been from outside forces. It's been the internal war between your calling and your conditioning. That part of you that knows you were born for something deeper. vs. the part of you that was trained to play small, to not rock the boat, to keep the peace. But let me tell you something. The world is not transformed by people who play small. The world is transformed by those who remember who they are. And if you're still listening, you're remembering right now. Now I'm going to say something radical, but let it hit you in your spirit, not just your ears. Your assignment is not to save the world. Your assignment is to embody your truth so fully, so radically, so unapologetically, that it becomes impossible for others to stay asleep around you. You don't need a stage. You are the stage. You don't need a pulpit. Your life is the message. You don't need validation. Your alignment is the confirmation. And if no one ever claps for you again, know this. Heaven already did. The moment you chose to walk in your gift, to stay obedient in private, to keep your heart soft even when the world got cold, heaven stood still and whispered, "That one, that's my chosen." So what do you do now? Now, you stop hiding. You stop explaining. You stop asking for permission to be powerful. You understand that every hardship, every delay, every betrayal was training, not punishment, preparation. And you begin to walk in your gift with a new level of reverence. Because you finally understand what it really is. It's not just insight. It's not just intuition. It's not just spirituality. It is a divine transmission, sent through you, to disrupt darkness, and ignite destiny. You were never just gifted. You were anointed. And now, you're starting to remember. But there's one final truth you still need to hear. Because before you can fully walk into the power of this spiritual gift, you must confront the last great lie they told you. The lie that keeps 99% of chosen ones bound even after they awaken. And in the next part, I'm going to reveal that final piece. The one that will set your gift on fire, and give you permission to stop surviving and start soaring. So I'll ask again. Now that you've made it this far, take a breath. Not just a breath in your lungs, but a breath in your spirit. Because what I'm about to share with you now, this is the one lie that has silently enslaved the chosen ones for generations. And yet it's so subtle, so clever, so wrapped in false humility, that most people never even see it for what it is. But you will, because you're not like most people. You're a chosen one. And this is the final veil, the last shadow that's been covering your light. Let's talk. The lie, I'm not worthy enough to be used. Oh yes, that one. That deep, quiet voice that creeps in every time your spirit gets stirred. That whisper in your mind that says, who am I to carry this gift? Why would God choose me? I still mess up too much. I'm not holy enough. I don't even pray consistently. Let me stop you right there. Because that voice, that is not your humility. That is spiritual sabotage disguised as self-awareness. You were conditioned to believe that you must be perfect to be powerful, that you have to clean yourself up before you walk in your calling, that you must get it all right before you can shine your light. But let me ask you something. Where in Scripture did God ever wait for someone to be perfect before using them? Let's go down the list. Moses had a stutter and deep anger issues, yet led a nation out of bondage. David was an adulterer and murderer, yet called a man after God's own heart. Paul literally persecuted Christians, yet wrote most of the New Testament. And don't forget Peter, who denied Christ 3 times, yet was entrusted to build the early church. Do you understand now? God has never used the qualified. He qualifies those he chooses. And if you're listening to this video right now, that means you've already been chosen. The call has already been made. The anointing has already been stamped. And every insecurity you've been wrestling with, every fear about your past, every shame, every guilt, every flaw, it's not a disqualification. It's the very reason God can trust you. Because your brokenness taught you compassion. Your pain taught you wisdom. Your failures taught you grace. You know what it means to fall and get back up. You know what it feels like to walk through darkness and still choose light. That's power. That's leadership. That's exactly who the world needs right now. Not the polished. Not the perfect. But the real. Chosen ones are refined through fire. You want to know how you can tell a true chosen one? They've been through fire and came out glowing. But not glowing with ego. Glowing with glory. Because every wound became a portal. Every tear became oil. Every betrayal became a lesson. Every delay became a setup. That depression, it carved depth into your soul. That heartbreak, it opened the space for divine love. That isolation, it taught you how to hear God without noise. And now, you sit here not as a victim, but as a vessel. He didn't allow you to go through all that for nothing. Your survival wasn't just survival. It was preparation. And your survival is proof that you're now ready to lead others through their own storm. Because only someone who has been through it can speak with true authority. The real reason your gift was hidden. Now let's go even deeper. Ever wonder why your gift stayed hidden for so long? Why it felt like it was buried underneath years of confusion, trauma, doubt, or distraction? Here's the truth. Because God was protecting it. Yes, protecting it. Because if your gift had been exposed too early, in the wrong environment, in front of the wrong people, they would have tried to exploit it, use it, mock it, abuse it, twist it. You would have given your pearls to swine, and they would have trampled it underfoot and told you it was worthless. So God hid it. Not because you weren't ready, but because the world wasn't ready for you yet. But now it's time. The seasons have shifted. The soil is ready. And heaven is waiting on you to say yes. Your yes is the key. This part is not going to be loud. It's not going to be flashy. Because it's personal. Right now, As you hear this, your soul is standing at a divine doorway, and no one can open it but you. Not your pastor, not your spiritual mentor, not your friends, not your family. Only you can say yes to your calling. Only you can activate the gift you've been carrying in silence for years. Only you can step into the truth of who you've always been. And I need you to hear me right now. You don't need more confirmations. You don't need more signs. You don't need to feel ready. You just need to say yes. Say yes, and the heavens will move. Say yes, and every locked door will start to open. Say yes, and the Spirit of God will start pouring through you like never before. But only you can unlock it. This is not the end, it's a beginning. And now you see, this entire time, you weren't being punished. You were being prepared. You weren't being rejected. You were being redirected. You weren't being delayed. You were being divinely developed. And your spiritual gift, it's not small. It's not random. It's not too late. It is sacred. It is dangerous to darkness. And it is time to let it shine, fully and fearlessly. You, chosen one, are no longer asleep. Now you know. And now the question is, what will you do with this truth? Because everything changes from this moment forward. You made it here. That already means something beyond what you even realize right now. Most won't. Most will click off, scroll past, forget, deny. But you stayed. Because your spirit knows it's time. So now, let's talk about what to do next. Because once the veil is lifted, you can't pretend to be blind again. And once you hear the truth, you can't keep living in lies. You're about to be activated. Step 1. Break the agreement with the lie. The first thing you must do is break the inner contract you made with every lie you believed. Yes, I said contract, because whether you know it or not, you agreed with those lies somewhere along the way. You let them in. You repeated them in your mind. You accepted them as your reality. Lies like, I'm not ready. I don't hear God clearly. I'm too broken. My gift isn't real. Maybe I'm just making it all up. You have to call each of these lies by name and cancel the contract. Right now, out loud, say, I break agreement with the lie that I'm not worthy. I break agreement with the lie that I'm not chosen. I break agreement with the lie that I'm not enough. And I choose to walk in truth, the truth that I am called, I am gifted, and I am protected by divine purpose. Say it like you mean it. Because heaven listens. Step 2. Silence the noise so you can hear. Your gift doesn't need to be amplified. It needs to be listened to. Most of you haven't been broken, you've been distracted. Your spirit's been trying to speak. Your intuition's been pulling on you. Your dream life, your visions, your senses, they've all been active. But you couldn't hear it over the noise. Noise from social media. Noise from religion. Noise from toxic people. Noise from a mind that's been running on survival mode. So now, you need to unplug. Go still. Even if it's just 10 minutes a day, get quiet. Get in the Word. Get in prayer. Get in nature. Let silence become your sanctuary again, because the gift inside of you will speak when the world stops yelling. And when you hear it clearly, you'll never be confused again. Step 3. Respond when you're moved, not when you're ready. Chosen ones often wait for the right time. The perfect moment. The full plan. But let me tell you something powerful. The Spirit of God doesn't operate in formulas. It operates in flow. And sometimes, you'll get a sudden urge to say something, to write something, to help someone, to create something. And you'll be tempted to second guess it, to delay it, to pray on it longer. But if it was birthed in truth, and you know it came from deep within, respond. That nudge is the voice of God activating your gift in real time. That impulse is how miracles start. Because guess what? You'll never feel fully ready. And that's okay. You don't need to be ready. You just need to be obedient. Step 4. Protect the gift, but don't hide it. You must understand this. You are no longer allowed to shrink. You are no longer allowed to hide your power to make others comfortable. You are no longer allowed to delay your light so others don't feel small. That's not humility, that's spiritual sabotage. Your gift is not meant to be kept in secret. It's meant to shift atmospheres. It's meant to cut through lies. It's meant to heal, awaken, shake, and rebuild. But yes, you must protect it. Not everyone gets access to your process. Not everyone is qualified to give you spiritual advice. So guard your gift, but do not bury it. Because what you hide, the world dies without. You're here for impact. You're here for revolution. You're here for kingdom work. So let them see it. Let them feel it. Let them be changed by it. Step 5. Let God take over now. Here's the final thing I'll say. You've done enough trying. You've done enough forcing. You've done enough explaining, defending, doubting, and exhausting yourself trying to figure it out. Now, it's time for something else. Let the Spirit take over. Because once you surrender the how, God activates the now. Once you say, God, I don't know how to do this, but I say yes. I don't know what comes next, but I trust you. I don't have all the answers, but I give you my yes. Heaven begins to move. Not next week. Not next year. Now. The timing is divine. The portal is open. The chosen are waking up. And you've just stepped into your season of fire, favor, and full spiritual authority. Final words, this is your birthright. You were never too much. You were never crazy. You were never confused. You were simply ahead of your time. You were spiritually encoded. You were heaven-marked from birth. And the enemy saw it. That's why he came so hard for your mind. That's why he tried to steal your identity. That's why you went through hell so young. But what the enemy tried to bury, God is now about to use. You are not forgotten. You are not broken. You are not behind. You are called. You are chosen. You are ready. And now the world will see what happens when a chosen one wakes up. If this message ignited something in you, if your spirit stirred, then speak it. Say it in the comments. Share it with the ones who've been asleep. Let your voice carry this light. Because the lie has been broken. And now, you rise. Thanks for watching. See you in the next video.